House will come to order. First bill on the calendar of the day is House File number 792. Clerk will report the bill.
House File number 792, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to construction codes, the first engrossment.
I recognize the author, Representative Theis, to report on her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm really happy to bring this bill to the floor right now because it's really been affecting the housing industry by a definition that got changed only in Minnesota. So what this bill does is it establishes the uniformity between all construction codes by reverting the definition of townhome back to the standard adopted by the Minnesota Fire Code, the International Codes Council, and all of our surrounding states, that a townhome is three or more attached dwelling units, not 2. This bill, as it will be amended and before you, is a refined and fully supported approach to making sure that one of the most affordable, desirable, and owner-occupied housing products are once again a viable option in Minnesota. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take up the amendment.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Theis moves to amend House File number 792, the first engrossment, and the amendment is coded A17-0253.
Representative Theis, to your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment addresses the issue of putting the code provisions into statute. Section 2 will be removed because the commissioner is immediately asked to suspend enforcement of the sprinkler rule on twin homes. However, we learned from the administration's legal counsel and others that leaving Section 2 in the bill may cause some concern that the bill could step over the agencies, the industries, and the fire services' long-held principle that the state refrain from putting into statute construction code provisions.
Discussion to the amendment. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor of the 0253 amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. Clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 792, as amended.
Third reading as amended. Discussion. Member from Clay, Representative Lean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. And Representative Theis, I just want to extend my appreciation to you for taking this on and working on this issue. This is a very important issue for my district, as much of the housing growth in Moorhead over the last 5 years or so has been these twin homes. And so just to take a little look at the numbers here from the Fargo-Moorhead Home Builders Association. To 2014, 2015, we had 48 housing starts around these twin homes. When this rule came into effect, 2016, we had 4. So quite a dramatic drop-off in housing starts for these twin homes. And members, you know, another point about this too is that this is really affordable housing. People my age, you know, early 30s, late 20s, looking to start or buy their first home, their starter home. This is a really effective product for those folks. And so this bill will get a lot of those housing starts back online, and a lot of those affordable, lower priced homes back in the market. So again, Representative Theis, I appreciate you working on this issue. Thank you.
The member from Sherburne, Representative Theis. Stearns, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wasn't sure I was supposed to say anything. Just in case you're still not sure you want to vote for this wonderful bill, I'll let you know that because of this little 2 to 3 change, there are now conflicts between the fire code, which is 3 or more units, and the building code, which is 2 or more. And that results in confusion in the marketplace and also between code enforcement agencies. And it's also, as Representative Lean said, driving construction of twin homes across the border to go down in the number of permits that are taken out. And one of the reasons is that the cost per unit is running between $7,000 and $15,000 to install the system. With that, I think we're good to go.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Clerk will close the roll. There being 124 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to. Next bill on the calendar today is Senate File 151.
Senate File number 151, number 3 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to public safety.
I call on the member from Wright, Representative O'Neill, to explain her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today, Senate File 151 is a small, narrow civil forfeiture reform bill. It is as introduced coming over from the Senate. It reestablishes a process for a joint owner of a vehicle to petition the court and demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence, thank you, Mr. Speaker, that the petitioning owner did not have knowledge of the second owner committing a DWI. This is in response to a Minnesota Supreme Court ruling from 2009 that said because of the vagueness in the statute, an innocent second owner does not have standing in court. They can't even have their day in court. This bill would reestablish that standing and allow them to at least petition in front of the court. Nothing changes as far as the current law for burden of proof. It is clear and convincing evidence, and nothing changes in any other part of forfeiture law. 49 other states already have this law in effect, and I ask for your support today. Thank you.
Discussion to the bill. There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File number 151.
Third reading. Any further discussion? Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I was looking around for somebody who's been more deeply involved in this to stand up, and since I didn't see anybody, I thought I would stand up and make a comment from this side. And I appreciate that this bill is being brought forward. This has been a problem for a while. And I know there's been an effort to keep this a narrow bill, and that's fine, and I signed on as a co-author to it. But I just want to rise to just flag for members and for the public that forfeiture still remains a problem. We did some reforms a few years ago, but forfeiture is really a very troubling policy. This is a good fix to it. It moves the ball forward. And so, you know, I know that neither I nor I think anyone else tried to broaden the bill and make it try to do more than what the author is trying to do. But I think one thing members need to understand about forfeiture is that our policy right now, our law on forfeiture, creates a conflict of interest for our law enforcement officials. It creates a conflict of interest because law enforcement keeps 40%, I believe the number is, and please correct me, someone, if I've got the numbers wrong, but 40% of the proceeds of property that is taken from citizens is kept by the people who are taking it. That is a conflict of interest. We put our law enforcement officers in that conflict situation by letting that be the law. In addition, when we did the reforms a few years ago, we added a portion of the proceeds that goes to the prosecutors. The people who are making the decision about going forward with the forfeiture action are actually getting a piece of the action. That is really even more troubling to me as a lawyer, is that those lawyers are allowing themselves to be put in a conflict of interest situation. They're not, and when I say they're allowing it, of course it's our policy that does it. But I haven't seen any protest coming from the prosecutor community on that. So I just wanted to flag this for members. I appreciate the author bringing this forward. I am happy to vote for this change. And I hope that we can continue to move forward because there are very powerful interests that would like us not to change these things. But I think it is very wrong for law enforcement to be taking citizens' property and getting a cut of the action when they do. So I hope that members will think about this for the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion? The clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. Clark votes aye. There being 128 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed. The bill is passed and is titled agreed to. Next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 474. The clerk will report the bill. House File number 474, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health occupations, the first engrossment. The gentleman from Scott, Representative Albright, two-year bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, House File 474 is a technical fix that is required of the Interstate Medical Licensure Compact, which we voted on unanimously back in 2015. The fix will allow for physicians who have passed a federal criminal background check requested by another state to obtain an expedited Minnesota license. And with that, I urge a green vote. Thank you.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading. Third reading, House File number 474. Third reading. Discussion on the bill. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. There being 128 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there is no objection, we will take action on these motions first. Hearing no objections, the motions prevail. Report from the Committee on Rules.
Pepin from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day for Friday, March 31st, 2017, and establishes a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to the following bills. House File numbers 861 and 890.
Announcements. The gentleman from Benton, Chair Knobloch.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, the Ways and Means Committee will meet at 7 o'clock this evening to take up the Public Safety Bill, the Legacy Bill, the Agriculture Bill, and to address a small amendment to the budget resolution. We'll be in room 5. GOP members will meet at 6 o'clock in room 454.
Announcements. The gentleman from Hennepin, Representative Carlson L.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the DFL members of Ways and Means will meet in room 272 at noon today, and we'll be discussing the bills that Representative Knobloch just outlined.
Announcements. Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 10 a.m. Thursday, March 30th, 2017.
Representative Pepin moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 10 a.m. Thursday, March 30th, 20 and 17. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. The motion prevails. Representative Pepin.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Pepin moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday, March 30th, 20 and 17.